I have an absolutely stacked lineup for the 13 horror movies that you have to watch in April of 2025. What's up, cretins? What's up, creeps? My name is Chris. I am the only person talking horror on the internet. Hit the subscribe, save this one. I do one of these every month. From new releases to milestone anniversaries, from holiday celebrations to underseen exploitations, this is your calendar of carnage for Dismapril 2025. Dismapril sounds so much better than Monstarch, but what are you gonna do for May? This is your calendar of carnage for Slapril 2025. No complaints. So no joke, there's enough going on in April that we are jumping past April Fool's Day and going straight into the second for our first flick, the limited theatrical release of Screamboat. I'll tell you guys straight up, I personally feel that the public domain horror remake has run its course. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare was atrocious. In February, we got The Little Mermaid. March, we got Popeye's Revenge. Just a couple days ago, we got Mouseboat Massacre, which, you guessed it, is also based on Steamboat Willie. In April, we get Shiver Me Timbers, another Popeye horror. Rumpelstiltskin, not the 1995 one. The Death of Snow White and the Cinderella-inspired The Ugly Stepsister on the same day. Filmmakers, listen up. Just because you can does not mean you should. So why Screamboat? This bastardization of Steamboat Willie comes from writer-director Stephen Lamort, the man behind The Mean One, which I would argue is the best of this subgenre. What are we calling this subgenre? Has anybody given it a name yet? Those are called cash-ins. Fair, but maybe not here. I do get the feeling that there are altruistic motivations here. Case in point, David Howard Thornton is the Mickey Mouse character, and he's currently positioned to pick and choose what he does going forward, right? There has to be a reason that he chose to sign on to this beyond just that he worked with them previously. Furthermore, Steamboat Willie has been public domain for about 15 months. This could have come out alongside the awful Mousetrap last year, but it seems that they chose to put the time into this. And since this seems to be an earnest attempt, I say why not give it an honest shot? We'll have a total of 5 days to do so, as it is playing through April 6th. And if you choose to go on the 4th, you can double feature it with Finn Wolfhard and Billy Brick's writing and directorial debuts, Hell of a Summer. Releasing via Neon, who I gotta say are encroaching on A24's territory in the best possible way, Hell of a Summer is best described as a Shaun of the Dead approach to the Friday the 13th template. I am not expecting this to be the best movie of the year, but I do think that it's going to stand a chance at being the most fun. Reserve yourself some time, though, if you're planning that double feature, because the 4th also starts Shudder's Halfway to Halloween celebration, where they will be debuting a new horror movie every Friday for the month of April. And they're starting it off with a bang with the premiere of 825 Forest Road. Family tragedy, haunted locales, and town with dark secret are mashed up into the new film from writer-director Stephen Cognetti. If that name sounds familiar, it should, because his other 4 credits are the 4 Hell House LLC movies. No, this is not a secret advanced release of the 5th in the series. That is still slated for October of this year. Instead, this is his first foray into traditional narrative features, i.e., this is not found footage. But given the themes, is there maybe a chance of a crossover? Could this be in the same universe? Only one way to find out. Watch it on the 4th. Drop out of there and drop back into theaters on the 11th for the drop of Drop. Director Christopher Landon of Happy Death Day, Freaky, and Scout's Guide notoriety drops the comedy and takes a serious turn with the story of Violet, a widow on the first date who starts getting messages dropped to her phone tasking her to do increasingly malicious duties. Consequence of not doing them? Violet's son and his babysitter will be unalived. This looks to be a bottle movie that takes place in real time, all I'm gonna say to you, if you have not seen the trailer yet, I suggest you don't seek that out. I'm already pretty certain that they gave away too much. Just trust me, go check it out. Alright, so not necessary viewing on the 11th, but the exorcism with a twist flick Shadow of God is Shudder's premiere this week, and the other summer camp slasher coming in April, Marshmallow, hits limited theatrical release. You're not going to be tested on these. But drop back. Stop saying drop. Joke's run its course. On the 12th, for our 5th flick, to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Stephen King anthology, not this one, Cat's Eye. From Louis Teague, director of Cujo, and starring Firestarter herself, Drew Barrymore, Cat's Eye is a trilogy of terror, not this one, involving an extreme smoking cessation program, a gambler whose stakes got a bit too high, and the finale to the wraparound that's everyone's favorite segment, involving Drew Barrymore, her cat, and a troll. Not this one. Really, the first two stories are well done, but everyone watches for the third. Where Stephen King was riffing on EC Comics for Creepshow, here he seems to be drawing from Twilight Zone, and he's largely successful. In fact, this may be the most underrated Stephen King flick at this point. So if you've never seen it, just give it a shot. If you used to watch it every other Saturday on Channel 11 like I did, because that shit was always on, the 12th is a Saturday and you have zero plans after lunch. Then stay in on the 15th to catch and kill our 6th movie, the 20th anniversary of the 2005 remake of the Amityville Horror. I did not foresee coming to the defense of the Amityville remake for 2 consecutive videos, but here we are. Much maligned Platinum Dune's possibly best, but absolutely most justified remake features Ryan Reynolds in his first noteworthy leading role as George Lutz, moving his family into the world's most famous haunted house. This is a well-paced flick, and it has some decent scares, and it does more than a passable job of updating the 1979 classic to the 2000s style of filmmaking. This also featured the film debut of bona fide and under-acknowledged scream queen Chloe Grace Moretz at 8 years of age. Stop hating, give it another chance. It's not nearly as bad as you want it to be. And hopefully you'll be ready to get out by the 18th, because I'm praying that you don't miss the wide release of Ryan Coogler's horror debut, Sinners. Coogler's 4th time working with Michael B. Jordan sees Jordan playing dual roles as twins in the Jim Crow era South. I know that this is a supernatural film, but little else is known other than it was shot on film, and specifically for IMAX screens. It will be put to and play on film at select IMAX theaters that have the projectors that can accommodate it. Usually not something that they do. The most recent film to do something like that was Oppenheimer, so I assume that this is aspiring to be somewhat of a cinematic event. So if you are local to one of those screenings, do it. If not, I'm just gonna suggest that you see it on the biggest screen possible with the best sound system. Check your local listings or whatever. Now, if you are in New York or LA, you will be fortunate enough that you will be able to double feature Sinners with what is being called David Cronenberg's return to form, our 8th flick, The Shrouds. The Shrouds follows a businessman who, after losing his wife, invents a technology that allows the living to monitor the decomposition of the recently deceased. It's like a Ring doorbell, but you know, like inside a tomb. One night, several graves are desecrated. The businessman sets out to exact revenge. There's your movie. To me, this sounds like the perfect marriage between early body horror Cronenberg and later extreme violence Cronenberg. Is there any word on whether or not Jason X David Cronenberg is going to make an appearance? If you are not close enough to New York or LA, The Shrouds goes national 1 week later on the 25th. Alright, so side note of the honorable mentions, the hardest one to cut was Shudder's premiere for the 18th, Dead Male, which looks exceptional and has a 95% fresh rating based on 20 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, if you give a shit about such things. Watch the trailer, you'll get it. And if you do get it and you're all out of energy after that potential triple feature, get Reanimated on the 19th for the 90th anniversary of our 9th film, James Whale's immortal classic, Bride of Frankenstein. Based on a subplot of the original Mary Shelley novel, wherein Dr. Frankenstein is all but forced into playing God once again, the original cast returns and ushers in Elsa Lanchester as both Mary Shelley and the titular bride. Now, she had a more than prosperous career afterwards, being nominated twice for Academy Awards, doing a string of Disney movies, including Mary Poppins, which, yeah, that's her as the nanny that bails on the insufferable Banks children, and a return to genre fare in the twilight of her career with Murder by Death, Terror in the Wax Museum, and the original Willard. But she will never be as recognizable or as iconic as she was as the bride. Additionally, something you'll hear less about in discussion of this flick is that Bride of Frankenstein is widely considered the first horror sequel. Thus, this is also the 90th anniversary of the horror sequel. Listen, if you don't like these older flicks when I throw one to you, I kinda get that. I'm not huge into pre-Night of the Living Dead cinema myself, but this is a great one. Two things that I'll throw to you to try to convince you to give it a shot. Number one, the movie's only 75 minutes long. And number two, damn near any ranking of Universal horror movies has this one sitting pretty at the top of the list. Give it a shot. I think you'll find more in it than you assume that you would. And then we hit the 20th, and shit, what do we do for number 10? Well, it's going to be watcher's choice. First, you're going to have to select your celebration, and you're going to follow it with your choice of movie. If you want to celebrate Easter, Critters 2 is the best Easter-themed horror movie made, and I will not hear otherwise. If you want to flick with a bunny in it, travel back in time and watch Donnie Darko. I personally take The Resurrection as a signal for zombie flicks, and this year, I'm kind of feeling Train to Busan. It's been a minute. If you would prefer to partake in 420, Evil Bong, which is not as bad as I thought it would be, Cabin in the Woods, or Idle Hands, which is being remade by Finn Wolfhard and Billy Brick, are the dank joints that you're looking for. And if you are on the road to WrestleMania, why not preface Night 2 with a horror movie starring a wrestler? Rowdy Roddy Piper chewing gum and kicking ass in They Live is probably your best and most iconic option. CM Punk was great in The Girl on the Third Floor. And I'll even let you get away with Freddy vs. Jason because Rey Mysterio Jr. was tapped to don the Kruger gear and do the fast-moving stunts during the cabin burning fight. Yes, really. There's no John Cena horror movie yet, but I'm sure that James Gunn will figure out something for him after Cena's final title run. Yes, he will win. 100% Team Cena. And after the Cody crybabies have had 5 days to dry their eyes, we can all reconvene on the 25th for film number 11, Friwaka? The fourth and final of Shudder's halfway to Halloween premieres is Irish folk horror flick Friwaka. And while I do appreciate the similarities that this trailer shows to The Wicker Man and lesser-known folk horror fare like Wakewood, those seem to be in the back seat to the Alzheimer's dementia themes of films like Relic and The Taking of Deborah Logan. I think of the 4 movies that Shudder has lined up for us, they all have huge potential, but I think that they intentionally saved the best for last. After you see them all, let me know what you thought of them and which one was your favorite. And then on the 26th, get yourself... Hold up, are you forgetting something? What's that? The 25th, that's when Until Dawn comes out. No, I didn't forget that. Doberman wrote that shit. It's gonna be fucking awful. Oh, right. Fuck that guy. We can't recommend that shit. It'll ruin our entire reputation. Exactly. But on the 26th, we can recommend that everybody celebrate the one universally accepted horror movie day that we get each year, Alien Day. Alright, so if you never knew, Alien Day is on April 26th because the xenomorph was discovered on a moon named LV-426. 426 equals April 26th, so Alien Day. For the past few years, there have been theatrical showings. I personally couldn't find anything announced yet, but it may still be early. So watch anything from the Alien series. I am probably personally going to go with Romulus since I really enjoyed it and I have not rewatched since the theatrical, but you do you. If you want something that you maybe haven't seen, 1985's Creature is coincidentally celebrating its 40th anniversary on the same day, and that movie is long accused of ripping off Ridley Scott's classic, but since it's its birthday, let's just accept it as canon. But just this once, and hopefully you pick up enough information on aliens to be prepared for the invasion on April 28th of our 13th and final flick, the 30th anniversary of John Carpenter's Village of the Damned. Not as good as the 1960 original, nor as bad as the world would want you to believe. The proverbial damned village of Midwich sees a blackout where the entire population reawakens to find its women impregnated. 9 months later, these creepy fuckers arrive. Now, if you've never seen this, I'm not about to tell you that this holds a candle to Halloween or The Thing or They Live or Escape from New York. Carpenter has outwardly stated that his heart was not in this project. Christopher Reeve is fine in his final role before the accident, but Kirstie Alley is making it pretty clear that she feels that she's above this, and the whole thing has this low budget, like 1991 through 1995 gleam to it, where it almost looks like a made-for-TV movie. Carpenter legitimately is above this, but the man's got a mostly immaculate filmography. It is leaps and bounds above what other filmmakers were doing at the time. If you're just willing to put its flaws aside, there's enough redeemable here to enjoy. Whenever you want to roll your eyes, just think about a brick wall. And there you go. That's gonna do it for today, creeps. Do all these things, let me know what you're gonna be watching in April, and the ones that I missed right over here. And as always, this is all just a matter of opinion. See them yourself, make your own decisions, remain critical, support horror.